morning step falls gently on my room, soft and bright, a fading bloom. Light creeps slowly through the quiet wooden frame, a pale gold ribbon whispering softly at my name. The mug is warming on the table by the chair, steam drifting upward like a small familiar prayer. She circles lightly, tail brushing at my knee, a simple little greeting only early hours see. In this gentle start of day, everything feels far away. A soft morning step settles into place, painting gentle colors on my breathing space. Nothing needs an answer, nothing to arrange, just the early quiet where the patterns slowly change. The kettle hums a melody that rises slow and low, a comfort only half awake mornings ever know. The curtains move a little with the passing of the breeze, as if the dawn itself is telling me to ease. She curls beside the pillow in a tiny folded shape, her presence like a doorway into small familiar escape. I let the drift in quiet stay before the world begins its day. Soft morning step settles into place, painting gentle colors on my breathing space. Nothing needs an answer, nothing to arrange, just the early quiet where the patterns slowly change.
A gentle star moves slowly through the air, soft and low, a waking prayer. The light drops gently on the wooden floor below, a quiet little shimmer with a warm and steady glow. I breathe the early silence as the kettle hums its line, the rhythm of a morning with a softness so divine. He steps across the carpet in a quiet padded slide, a tiny morning presence always somewhere at my side. And in the hush that leads the day, I feel the weight just drift away. A gentle start unfolds into my view, shaping brighter colors in a muted shade of blue. No moment here is wasted, nothing to pursue, just the calm returning in the early morning hue. A journal with a page left halfway done, a promise of reflection once the daylight fully comes. The window hears the distant city slowly finding tone, a low and quiet murmur, never rushing, never known. He curls beside the cushion with a soft and careful rest, a simple little comfort settling lightly on my chest. And feel the quiet gently fade. A gentle start unfolds into my view, shaping brighter colors in a muted shade of blue. No moment here is wasted, nothing to pursue, just the calm returning in the early morning hue. A gentle start becomes my breathing pace, filling up the silence with a softer kind of grace. The day begins so slowly, nothing to undo, just the quiet morning in its pale and tender blue. The day opens softly and true. Quiet frame surrounds the waking day, warm and deep in its own way. The morning slides across the edge of folded sheets below, a soft and muted brightness with a slow and steady flow. My breath becomes a rhythm in the half-awakened light, a subtle kind of comfort settling gently out of night. He pads along the window with a curious little gaze, catching bits of sunshine in the early softened haze. And in the hush before the climb, I find a little a quiet frame holds gently to my mind, shaping early colors in the patterns left behind. Nothing here is urgent, nothing is designed, just the steady warmth the morning lets me find. Kettle hums a promise in a mellow amber tone, a sound that always tells me I am never quite alone. The curtains sway a little as the city starts to rise, a faint and distant motion in the pale and waking skies. He settles by my elbow in a slow and folded rest, a small and quiet presence warming gently on my chest. And as the room begins to breathe, I feel the nighttime slowly leave. A quiet frame holds gently to my mind, shaping early colors in the patterns left behind. Nothing here is urgent, nothing is designed, just the steady warmth the morning lets me find. Pale gold shimmer falls across the edges of the room, a quiet little brightness cutting softly through the gloom. The steam above the mug moves in a slow ascending that's unfolding in a half-awakened world. He wanders to the window in a small exploring sweep. His tiny curious footsteps in a rhythm light and deep. And in this slow and tender ride, the daylight opens up my eyes. An early warm step drifts slightly into view, shading all the quiet in a mellow tinted hue. Nothing here is heavy, nothing feels askew, just a gentle promise of a day beginning new. Oh no, a notebook lies open with a word left incomplete, as if the night was lingering before it chose retreat. The air is barely moving as the morning finds its flow. A silent little blessing only quiet hours know. He settles near my ankle in a folded sleepy heap, a tiny glowing presence making stillness warm and deep. And as the softened shadows lean, I feel the world shift into green. An early warm step drifts slightly into view, shading all the quiet in a mellow tinted hue. Nothing here is heavy, nothing feels askew, just the gentle promise of a day beginning new. An early warm step opens up the day, folding in the stillness in a softer way. And as the light expands, everything feels true, just a quiet morning slowly shining through. Softly rising, warm morning. The still horizon waits across the day, calm and deep in its own way. The morning glows faintly on the windowsill of white. A soft and muted greeting rising slowly out of night. The room holds on to silence like it's something gently earned, a quiet little blessing from the hours just returned. He curls along the pillow with a low contented sigh, the warmth between us forming where the shadows used to lie. And in this hush of early hue, I see the morning breaking through. A still horizon meets the waking air, laying softer colors in the places stripped and bare. Nothing here is hurried, nothing needs repair, just a gentle rhythm moving calm from everywhere. The kettle hums its music with a low familiar ring, a sound that gathers comfort only gentle mornings bring. The curtains flutter lightly as the daylight starts to grow, a weaving line of brightness eyes with a calm and steady glow. He settles by my shoulder in a folded little nest, a tender touch of morning drawing silence into rest. And as the softened colors climb, I breathe a slower sense of time. A still horizon meets the waking air, laying softer colors in the places stripped and bare. Nothing here is hurried, nothing needs repair, just the gentle rhythm moving calm from everywhere. The still horizon widens through the room, lifting all the shadows from the remnants of the gloom. And as the day unfolds, I feel a gentle tune, just simple quiet drifting into bloom. Quiet horizon opening slow. Gentle echo line moves quietly through the day, warm and faint in its soft array. Light leans slowly across the woven fabric seat, a muted wave of brightness laying warmth along my feet. The cups aligned in order on the corner of the shelf, small reminders of a morning spent in conversation with myself. He pads across the hallway in a slow and steady climb, a simple quiet moment marking early morning time. And in the hush before I move, the daylight starts to find its groove. A gentle echo line folds into my view, shaping softer colors in a barely awakened hue. Nothing feels uncertain, nothing feels untrue, just the early rhythm settling calm and cool. Steam slides upward from the mug I've barely touched, a slow and patient story that the morning always trusts. The window holds a shimmer from a passing cloud of white, a soft and perfect silence drifting gently into sight. He circles near my ankle with a warm, contented sigh, a tiny patch of comfort only early hours try. And as the shade begins to lift, my thoughts move slow but start to shift. A gentle echo line folds into my view, shaping softer colors in a barely awakened hue. Nothing feels
soft arriving breeze, a hush that tells the morning it may enter as it please. My hands wrap round the mug, still warm from yesterday, as if the quiet memory hasn't fully slipped away. She climbs upon the cushion with a gentle little sound, a soft and steady presence in the calm that gathers round. And in this hush of early blue, everything feels born anew. Early window light opens up the day, filling quiet corners in a soft and tender way. Nothing needs an answer, nothing to convey, just the hush of morning drifting into play. A journal page is waiting with a half-finished design, like lines that once were hurried but now slowly realign. The shadows fold behind me as the sunlight climbs the floor, a faded little shimmer growing brighter than before. She settles near my elbow in a curled and gentle rest, a tiny beating heartbeat warming lightly at my chest. And as the brighter haze unfolds, I breathe the calm the daylight holds. Early window light opens up the day, filling quiet corners in a soft and tender way. Nothing needs an answer, nothing to convey, just the hush of morning drifting into play. A quiet head feather line floats softly through my day, light and warm, drifting away. The morning lays a shimmer on the neatly folded sheet, a gentle touch of brightness where the shadows used to meet. The air is calm and cool as if the dawn forgot to rush, a small forgiving moment wrapped in early morning hush. She moves along the sofa with a tiny padded grace, a playful little rhythm finding sunlight in the space. And in this drifted atmosphere, everything feels close and near. A quiet feather line circles through the room, softening the corners with a faint and tender bloom. Nothing weighs upon me, nothing to resume, just the gentle motion of a feather waking plume. The steam above the mug makes a swirling little dance, a fragile living pattern given shape by circumstance. The wooden floor is glowing with a pale and golden glint, a silent conversation only morning light can hint. She settles by the window with her fur in gentle heat, her breathing like a whisper in the quiet morning deep. And
calmly aligned. The morning breeze, a faint line on the wooden bedroom floor, a soft and muted shimmer that I've come to treasure more. The mug beneath my hand is still a little warm to hold, a leftover of comfort from a night that wasn't cold. He steps along the hallway with a slow exploring tread, leaving tiny gentle footprints where the early colors spread. And in the still before I stand, the daylight takes me by the hand. A dawn quiet path drifts slowly into view, shaping silent rhythms in a soft and tinted hue. Nothing here is heavy, nothing overdue, just the calm of morning pulling me anew. The open book beside me holds a thought I meant to keep, a trace of tired handwriting from the edge of drifting sleep. The curtains sway a little with a light and simple breeze, a tender kind of motion like a whispered gentle plea. He settles near my ankle with a slow contented breath, a small and living warmth in the quiet morning depth. And as the shadows fade away, I feel more room to start the day. A dawn quiet path drifts slowly into view, shaping silent rhythms in a soft and tinted hue. Nothing here is heavy, nothing overdue, just the calm of morning pulling me anew.
Light falls over quiet in a slow and gentle way. Soft and bright, starting the day. The window brings a shimmer as the morning colors swell, a subtle golden whisper with a story it won't tell. My fingers warm the mug while the steam begins to rise, a drifting little painting underneath the waking skies. She climbs upon the table with a soft adventurous stride, tracing early sunbeams with her tiny glowing pride. And in the hush before it spreads, warm thoughts replace the heavy threads. Light over quiet rest upon my view, layering the silence in a gentle tinted blue. Nothing needs correction, nothing to review, just the softer morning settling true. The journal page is open with a line I have erased, a moment of reflection that I never quite replaced. The curtains lift a little with a slow and patient breeze, a tender kind of greeting passing softly through the trees. She rests beside my elbow in a curled and peaceful shape, as if the world is offering a quiet chance to dream. And as the brighter tones appear, the morning hum becomes more clear. Light over quiet rest upon The morning folds a quiet shape across the window's frame, a thin and gentle brightness softly calling out my name. The cup between my fingers holds a heat that lingers long, a low and steady comfort like a half-remembered song. She climbs along the armrest with a quiet padded leap, finding just the perfect spot to settle in and sleep. And in this first awakening light, the world begins to feel alright. A warm curtain line drifts slightly into view, painting gentle patterns in a softened morning hue. Nothing needs explaining, nothing overdue, just the warmth of daylight breaking through. A page of scribbled writing sits beneath my resting hand, notes from quiet moments I can barely understand. The shadow of the curtain sways a little with the breeze, as if it's whispering a secret only morning ever sees. She stays beside my shoulder in a silent folded rest, her warmth a simple promise that the day will treat me best. And when the muted shadows fade, I feel the calm the morning made. A warm curtain light drifts slightly into view, painting gentle patterns in a softened morning hue. Nothing needs explaining, nothing overdue, just the warmth of daylight breaking through.
The soft blue morning finds its way to me. Light and calm, drifting free. The pale tint of daylight slips across the sliding door, a thread of quiet color stretching gently on the floor. The cup is still half full, cooling slowly in my grip, a tiny bit of comfort from a long and peaceful sip. He wanders near the sofa with a curious little pace, chasing drifting shadows in the soft and waking space. And as the quiet starts to grow, I breathe a little softer now. A soft blue morning widens in my view, painting gentle brightness in a fading shade of blue. Nothing here is urgent, nothing I must do, just this quiet moment carry me through. A page inside my notebook holds a soft restart. A soft blue morning widens in my view, painting gentle brightness in a fading shade of blue. Nothing here is urgent, nothing I must do, just this quiet moment carry me through. Quiet folded light rests gently by my side, deep and warm where calm resides. The morning lays a smooth line on the corner of my bed, a muted shape of daylight slowly lifting from the red. The surface of the table holds the warmth from something brewed, a simple quiet echo from a slowly waking mood. He steps across the carpet with a slow unhurried glide, a tiny bit of comfort moving softly at my side. And in the hush that follows night, I feel the pull toward gentle light. Quiet folded light slips softly in my view, warming the forgotten things I never quite outgrew. Nothing waits behind me, nothing overdue, just a calm beginning colored faint and blue. Steam above the cup drifts in a fragile winding trail, a wandering reminder of the dreams that left no tail. The window gathers brightness from a rising distant glow, a soft and trembling gesture only early hours know. He settles near my shoulder with a slow contented breath, a peaceful living moment in the quiet morning depth. And as the colors break and sway, I find a gentler way. Quiet folded light slips softly in my view, warming the forgotten things I never quite outgrew. Nothing waits behind me, nothing overdue, just a calm beginning colored faint and blue. Folded light widens through the room, chasing back the remnants of the slowly fading gloom. And as the day arrives, everything finds bloom, just folded calm, soft as perfume. A shared soft drift leans lightly on our day, warm and slow floating away.
The morning presses gently on the thin and glowing glass, a ribbon line of brightness letting early quiet pass.
I breathe a steady rhythm as I watch the colors grow, a muted little sunrise moving soft and low.
She steps along the pillow with a tiny padded beat, tracing early warmth that gathers lightly at my feet.
Your voice moves softly through the thin and waking air, a warm familiar echo settling in anywhere.
I shift a bit beside you as the daylight finds its tone, a quiet kind of comfort only early curls by the curtain with a slow content and sweet. A folded bit of morning settling into gentle sleep. And in the hush that starts to bloom,
the daylight whispers through the room.
A shared soft drift floats gently in this space, filling empty corners with a warm and easy grace. Nothing needs explaining, nothing to replace, just the morning's quiet holding us in place. The table holds a journal with a thought I left to dry, a tiny fading memory catching light before it flies.
You turn your eyes toward me as the color shifts its way, a calmer shade of brightness heading softly into day. We let the gentle moments stay before the world begins its sway. A shared soft drift flows gently in this space, filling empty corners with a warm and easy grace. Nothing needs explaining, nothing to replace, just the morning's quiet holding us in place. Holding place. Holding place. The slow dawn rhythm leans softly on my day, warm and mild drifting my way. A faint line of sunlight lands across the tidy wooden floor, a patient quiet shimmer sliding underneath the door. The cup beside my fingers leaves a ring of gentle heat, a leftover of silence from the night's retreat. He wanders to the bedside with a low and steady glide, a quiet living heartbeat in the daylight at my side. And in this calm that starts to rise, I feel the weight leave my eyes. A slow dawn rhythm folds into the room, pain and early comfort on the remnants of the gloom. Nothing here is urgent, nothing needs to bloom, just a steady morning humming in its tune. The steam above the mug takes a wandering, winding path, a tiny drifting memory of the night's forgotten math. The curtains catch a brightness from a cloud that rolls along, a muted little gesture like the first note of a song. He settles by my ankle with a warm and peaceful rest, his breathing like a whisper pressed lightly on my chest. And when the color starts to flow, I feel the quiet deep and slow. A slow dawn rhythm folds into the room, pain and early comfort on the remnants of the gloom. Nothing here is urgent, nothing needs to bloom, just a steady morning humming in its tune. on rhythm widens through the air, filling empty corners with a gentle kind of care. And as the day begins, everything feels fair, just morning warmth settling everywhere. A quiet beat beginning slow, a deep early glow settles over me, warm and low, quietly free. The first light of morning leans across the folded sheet, a calm descending brightness and a slow deliberate beat. The mug beside the lamp still holds a fading trace of heat, a little sign of comfort that the night left incomplete. He walks along the hallway with a low unhurried sound, a gentle living presence in the morning all around. And in this quiet woven start, I feel the easing of my heart. A deep early glow fades softly into view, filling up the silence with a warm and tender hue. Nothing feels uncertain, nothing feels askew, just a calm returning, like it always knew. In a fading silver line, a drifting little gesture marking slow and patient time. The shadows move in rhythm with a breeze that barely stirs, a quiet old reminder that the morning still prefers. He settles by the sofa with a folded bit of grace, the quiet of his breathing filling gently through the space. As the muted colors rise, I feel the world grow softer eyes. Deep early glow fades softly into view, filling up the silence with a warm and tender hue. Nothing feels uncertain, nothing feels askew, just the calm returning, it always knew. A deep early glow widens through the room, washing out the remnants of the thinnest midnight gloom. And in this steady warmth, nothing can undo. Peaceful dawn in shades of blue, quiet glow, two quiet lines unfold with morning light, soft and warm,
gentle and bright. The dawn moves slowly down the edge of our window frame, a thin and glowing river, your name. I breathe the early stillness, a solace
pools near the pillow with a tiny padded sound, tracing little footsteps in the calm that gathers round.
Your voice is like a morning kept beneath the fading night, a soft and careful warmth returning in the light. I shift aside good morning kiss amid the fighting night, a soft and careful warmth returning in the light. I shift beside the blankets as the brightness finds its tone, a quiet kind of presence that I never face alone. He settles near my shoulder with a steady low repose,
A piece of early comfort where the gentle moment grows.
and in the calm before we move, the dawn begins its subtle groove. Ooh. Two quiet lines meet softly in the room, blending steady colors with the thinning edge of gloom. Nothing needs explaining, nothing to resume, just morning's hush in quiet bloom. The journal page lies open with a sigh of soft retreat, a line I left unfinished in a rhythm incomplete. I watch the shifting sunlight paint the floor in muted gold, a slow and gentle pattern that the early hours hold. Ooh, the simple stillness shapes our day in quiet tones that drift our way. Two quiet lines meet softly in the room, blending steady colors with the thinning edge of gloom. Nothing needs explaining, nothing to resume, just morning's hush in quiet bloom.
Two quiet lights
He calls.
warm sun into the day, carrying the warmth that,
Never fades away.
and as the morning grows, nothing feels astray.
Just gentle light guiding our way.
A faint morning echo settles in the room, low and warm, chasing off the gloom. And the first slice of daylight meets the blankets by my side, a muted pale reflection where the quiet likes to hide. The mug upon the table sends a gentle curl of steam, a fragile little signal drifting softly through a dream. He walks across the hallway with a slow, unhurried tread, a tiny bit of warmth waking softly in its stead. And as the color starts to show, I breathe a calmer flow. A faint morning echo widens in my view, filling empty corners with a softened shade of blue. Nothing here is fragile, nothing overdue, just a steady stillness pulling me anew. A page of half-drawn lines sits beside my ready hand, notes from quiet moments I can barely understand. The curtains shift in rhythm with the passing distant breeze. A simple little gesture from the quiet of the trees. He curls against my ankle with a low contented sigh. Warm breath rising gently into early morning sky. And when the muted shadows pass, I feel the calmer mass. A faint morning echo widens in my view, filling empty corners with a softened shade of blue. Nothing here is fragile, nothing overdue, just a steady stillness pulling me anew. A faint morning echo settles through the space, giving every moment a familiar gentle grace. And as the daylight grows, nothing seems to chase, just quiet tones in their place. Soft echo holding warm. Early soft rain settles on my day, calm and low, easing my way. The sunlight draws a narrow line across the wooden floor, a tentative beginning that I've come to treasure more. The warmth inside the mud leaves a circle on the grain, a quiet little footprint of the night's remaining strain. He climbs up on the cushion with a light and steady bound, a playful bit of motion waking silence all around. And as the hush begins to clear, I feel the morning near. An early soft rain rests lightly in my view, blending tender shadows with the muted golden hue. Nothing needs deciding, nothing to pursue, just a quiet start. The daylight pulls me through. The journal holds a sentence that I left without a close, a thought half formed and drifting when the world began to doze. The soft breeze through the window nudges curtains left and right, a subtle gentle rhythm in the edges of the light. He settles by my armrest with a quiet even breath, a peaceful little presence in the morning's growing depth. And when the brighter colors play, I find a simple way. An early soft rain rests lightly in my view, blending tender shadows with the muted golden hue. Nothing needs deciding, nothing to pursue, just a quiet start. The daylight pulls me through. Quiet days end, settles on my chest, warm and low, giving me rest. The light along the window fades to gentle silver gray, a soft and muted ending to a slowly drifting day. The cup beside my elbow holds the last of fading heat, a leftover of moments that the morning left complete. He circles near the doorway with a slow and steady gaze, choosing where to rest within the quiet evening haze. And in this soft and final glow, I feel the weight let go. A quiet days and hum softly in the room, painting tender shadows in a slowly falling bloom. Nothing needs an answer, nothing to resume, just the echo of the calm replacing gloom. The page beneath my pen holds a half-remembered line, a tiny fragment left from something peaceful nearly mine. The curtains sway a little with the late and fading breeze, a gentle closing whisper drifting softly through the trees. The colors fall away, I breathe into the end of day. A quiet day's end hum softly in the room, painting tender shadows in a slowly falling bloom. Nothing needs an answer, nothing to resume, just the echo of the calm replacing gloom. A quiet days and drifts gently through the air, filling every corner with a slow and patient care. And as the final glow is carried everywhere, quiet stay, soft and rare. A warm sigh, closing softly. Morning lines together draw softly on the air, warm and sweet, perfectly fair.
Cotton sheet, a thin and golden softness where the quiet morning meets. I breathe a gentle rhythm as the sky begins to rise, a slow and tender shimmer pulling brightness in my eyes.
She moves beside the pillow with a little padded leap, curling into comfort in a tiny spiral sleep.
Your voice drifts slightly forward through the thin and waking hue, a calm familiar presence slowly finding something new.
I shift against the blankets as the colors start to bloom, feeling early warmth returning softly to the room.
He circles near the curtain with a steady grounded pace, carrying the morning in his warm and quiet grace.
And in this gentle woven light,
the day begins to feel just right.
morning lines together widen through the space, blending early colors with a warm and tender trace. Nothing needs explaining,
Nothing needs explaining, nothing to replace, just quiet tones that hold us in their place. page beside my journal has a note I meant to hide. Something half remembered drifting softly to my side.
I watch the shifting sunlight draw a brighter, deeper line. A simple bit of warmth that hints the day will treat us fine.
And as the quiet starts to stay, we find the opening of the day.
Morning lines together widen through the space, blending early colors with a warm and tender trace. Nothing needs explaining,
Nothing needs explaining,
nothing to replace,
just quiet tones that hold us